Well, it looked like it could have been a lot worse if you go back to this scary incident with Kyrie in his eye and Marco Bellinelli. It could have been much worse than a scratch and then what was called an irritation, and missed a couple of games. Either of you guys ever have an eye poke scenario in a game?
Yeah, I actually had a torn tear duct, and it was painful. But I think whenever you get hit in the eye, you really just kind of lose it, and you're scared because you lose your eyesight. It's blurry and everything just for a minute or so. But, you know, the doctors and everybody are so good right now that they're able to get you back playing, as we see with Kyrie tonight.
That was a lot of information, good information.
Hey, don't ask me the question then. Hey, don't ask me the question then.
Great graphic. Oh, boy. All right, let's get serious. Kyrie, well,
was that traveling or was that
wondering.
just a sweet
I was
move?
more concerned about the paint being completely wide open. But yeah,
I mean, that too. Maybe travel
It was a travel.
a little bit.
It's been travels from one year to another for Jason Tatum. Obviously, different group. How he plays with Kyrie, without Kyrie. Nice ball movement. Gordon Hayward, he had 12 points and 8 boards. And Candace, not easy for Scary Terry to get all that hype and all that performance last year and then kind of get back into the background this year. Been tough for him.
Well, there's been a number of games that he's come in and saved them. You know, from the defensive end, bringing that tenacity, being able to score the basketball. So, I mean, he can contribute in more than just scoring.
Zeke said earlier in the night something jumping out of a beard. How about out of Jarrett Allen's hair?
I mean, not only out of his hair, he's got hands jumping out of his hair, because lately he's been blocking everybody's dunk.
Yeah, not that shot from Kyrie. Watch this nice little look here to Daniel Tice inside. Kyrie, 17.6 assists, 3 steals in his return. Scary Terry, wide open. 10 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, and then the athleticism, Ziga, Robert Williams III.
Oh, yeah. He's got hops.
Raw talent.
Now if he can just be on time for the bus.
Well, you know. We've all hit snooze once or twice. Win by 21 for Kyrie, 17, 5 in double figures, and the Celtics, their 24th victory of the season. So where do they stand in the East? Well, they're battling a bunch of teams, including the Milwaukee Bucks, who people did not talk nearly enough about before the year. We did talk a lot about him and Donovan Mitchell, though. This guy, Giannis.
Wait, who is that?
Based on the outfit, you couldn't tell, right?
Oh, I couldn't see. Yeah, I didn't know who that was.
Does anybody understand is there I know Fear of the Deer. Do we understand the colors here?
I mean, if he's playing like that, we're fearing whatever jersey he's wearing.
Meanwhile, unfortunately, you've been fearing all sorts of hamstring issues. Exum already down. Ricky Rubio did not return. They say it's a thigh injury. Scored 9 of the last Jazz 11 points before he left the game. They're down 2, which means Donovan Mitchell to step up. What have you seen, Zeke, from him is now not a surprise to anybody this year?
Well, he's on the board now. He's one of those players who's the first, scouting report on the board, and every defense is geared toward stopping him. So as the season progresses, he's got to figure out how to continue to score, how to continue to get his teammates involved, and he's got to be a shot maker from the perimeter.
Donovan at 26, Giannis and everything else. Candace?
This is the problem.
You can't stop him and defend him one-on-one, especially in transition.
Watch this on Gobert.
I mean,
nobody does that to Gobert.
well, he does.
He doesn't anyone. I mean, it's not even fair. He had 30 points. I mean, Zeke, you played against some great athletes and guys with lots of size. I mean, have we ever seen anybody with this kind of a skill set that he's got?
I've said this before. In this generation, the 2 most unique players that we've seen in this league, and probably 3 when you throw in Anthony Davis, is Kevin Durant, 7 foot with a crossover in a 3, and then Giannis with the stuff that he's doing. We've never seen guys like this in our league at 7 feet tall with these kind of skill sets, and can do it at such a high level with such intensity. So, I mean, there are a lot of kids that are growing up now who are saying they want to be like KD and they want to be like Giannis, because those are the 2 guys who are setting the standards.
Let's talk about these two teams, kind of where they sit in the East. Let's start with the Celtics, because we've talked about this, Candace, in a couple of different ways tonight. I'll go back to when we talked about Doncic throughout the course of this evening, and that is the way that the team looks at him and says, go ahead, you shoot. When Kyrie wasn't there last year, that was Jason Tatum. And it's not that it couldn't have been Scary Terry one night or Jaylen Brown, but you go back to that series against LeBron, and I mean, I don't know how you get more impressed with the way that Tatum was shot for shot in all of those moments. As a player, how difficult is that? And I want to talk about him a bit specifically, for him to go through that, and now you've got Kyrie, you know who Kyrie is and what he is, and you're trying to kind of not step on his toes, but also keep that aggression that made you the player you are.
Well, I think those are the growing pains that you saw them going through at the beginning of this season. People were questioning whose team this was, Kyrie Irving or Jason Tatum. And it was almost laughable as a player that has played, because you realize whose team this is. Jason Tatum had great games during the playoffs.
Yes.
But in terms of a player that has won a championship, that has proven himself, that has done this consistently, obviously it's in Kyrie Irving. But how do you best fit them together? Because you're going to need both of them to win a series to get to the finals. And they didn't win that series against LeBron.
Yep.
And I think the experience that he gained from that was positive, as well as maybe he took a couple steps back, because this year the expectations were higher.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to go through those. And when he scores 7 points this year, it's like, well, what's wrong with Jason Tatum?
Yeah.
When actually it's growing pains. I mean, he's still young. He's still trying to fit himself into the philosophy of the way that the Celtics play.
Yeah, and there are no more throwaway shots. When Kyrie and Hayward wasn't there, you can miss 2 or 3,
Right.
and it was coming right back to you. But now, okay, if you miss 2 or 3, okay, Kyrie's got it. Okay, Hayward's got it. So that ball is not coming back to you as much as it was last year, because now you got 2 extra scorers out on the floor. But they can adjust, and they have adjusted.
I say this, though, and I ask you from a championship standpoint, the necessity of having multiple guys. Kyrie knows that even though LeBron is LeBron, including one incredible shot, which to me I think is a bigger shot than any LeBron's hit in his career, just being fair, Kyrie hit shot after shot after shot. Kyrie's going to be the LeBron when you get to a playoff series, right, Zeke? I mean, you've been in that spot where they're going to say, we have to try and find a way in those big moments to eliminate him. So he's going to have to, right, rely on Jason Tatum in some of those opportunities.
Yeah, and I would also, ask you this question too, because, as the best player on the team,
right,
as Kyrie is offensively, right, what LeBron showed was that not only was he the best player, but he's also a great leader. Right? Now, what Kyrie's challenge is right now is, can you become the great leader? Can you galvanize? Can you energize? Can you inspire? Right? Can you do that with your teammates? And that's what he's got to prove that he can do. And that's what I had to do, and I know you had to do it also.
Well, I don't think that, and I hate to continue to bring Golden State into this this conversation.
Well, they've won a lot.
They've won a lot, but I mean, that's in every conversation.
A little. Yeah. They weren't in John Schumann's power rankings.
Yeah, at all. So John Schumann is the only one that doesn't have them winning a lot. But, it is extremely impressive for the ability for all of them to fit. And what was the reasoning because of that? It was because of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
He welcomed that. He wanted talent. He wanted to play alongside great players, because you know what? One game, it's your game. The next game, next series, it's your matchup. And so I think that's kind of the focus that Boston has to have, that maybe tonight I'm not going to get 20 shots, but the next series or the next game, I'm going to be very important.
You both know this. Those at home know this. What I want to see, we saw Raptors last year try to extend a rotation like a regular season. You can't do that in the playoffs. That's going to be the interesting thing for me. Who's going to get their minutes taken back? Because you got so many guys who did it last year, did it this year. Is it going to be a Jaylen Brown? Is it going to be a Hayward?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a decision to make there for Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to NBA TV. Don't take away any of Luka's minutes unless they're at a drinking establishment. He's 19. 19 years old.
Legal overseas.
It seems like how many years all those Spurs were playing. We'll be back with Game Time, Candace.
And how would you know that?
I mean, I'm just saying. Legal overseas.
Houston Rockets and the Denver Nuggets are game of the night. Rockets win at 125-113. The stretch of 35 points each time out for James Harden ends, settles for, and I say that jokingly, 32, 14, and 5 on a big night. But enough about that. Our next guest, we'll find out if he's entering the three-point competition coming up in Charlotte. As we welcome in P.J. Tucker, who knocked down 7 of them in 11 tries. P.J., first of all, congrats on the W. For you, talk about how good it feels. You do so many things to help out the team, but to feel it like you did from deep tonight.
Man, it was a blessing. It's crazy. Every night here is different. The way James is rolling, you just kind of fill in spots. Everybody just do their job, play their role. He gets it going. He gets our offense fueled. So, one night you might get 10, 11 shots. One night you might not get but 1 or 2. But it's just playing the same way every single game.
PJ, you've had to adjust to that in terms of, sometimes you get 1 shot, sometimes you get 10 shots, and you've always focused on your defense, and you've always been a solid player. My question to you is, when all of you were down a couple of weeks ago, and you were there in 15 teams in the West, you were at 14, what did y'all do to rally around each other? What were the conversations that were had to get y'all back on track and to get everybody feeling this good and playing this well?
Zig, it's interesting you say that because it's one of those things where we got a new team this year. Everybody always talk about last year. We got a whole new team this year. We got a lot of new guys. When we got down early, we just encouraged all the new guys to keep on pushing. At the end of the day, every time you look at games, everybody's beating everybody in the NBA early. Even though we were like 14th or whatever we were still like 5 or 6 games out of second and third. Like, it was crazy. So it was one of those things we just kept looking at it and just told everybody just kept chipping away. And really, honestly, all the injuries, all the things we've had going on all year, we've had guys from the D-League. We've had a lot of stuff going on, but everybody just came in and do what we wanted. So it's just trying to stay focused all 82 games. It's a long season.
As fans, we all watched James Harden obviously over this last month do incredible things. Can you talk to us about, as a teammate, to witness that firsthand and be a part of basically history?
That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things. Last year, he did some crazy stuff last year, but seeing him on that streak, that was amazing. Some of the shots, some of the plays he was making, he does a lot of that every night. But it was to the max. So it's one of those things where you, as a fan, you kind of, as a player, you're still a fan, and the way you get to watch your teammates and somebody you respect and you play with every day, just do something that he's doing. It's incredible.
Now, PJ, you've had a chance to play with, arguably 2 of the greatest offensive players of this generation, in terms of Kevin Durant when you were, in college, and also now with James Harden. What do those 2 guys do in practice that we don't see that you can share with us that has made them so effective? And are there similarities?
That's tough. You know what? They 2 of the probably best offensive players I've ever played with and against ever seen, maybe. One thing I will say, I know JH, every single day, he is the last one to leave the gym. Like, he gets his routine in, no matter we on a back-to-back, no matter, if he's tired, if he's hurt, like, he gets his routine in. So those shots you see him make at the end of games and, behind the screens and splitting people and step backs, he practices that stuff every single day, and I'm in there with him, and it's amazing. And in the summertime, he's doing that same stuff all the time. So, for me, just being around him so much, to see him actually do it in games, I know he can make it, and I try to get him open as much as I can because I know he can do it. Just seeing him do it every single day, so it's pretty incredible. And KD's the same way.
PJ, I got to ask you before we let you run, because you guys have so much talent on this team, obviously went as deep as you did last year, and it's still somehow, it's hard to say underrated because I know he got paid to stay with the team, but Clint has a career high, 31 points tonight, and I always talk about the fact that I don't think people give enough credit to all the things he does to make everybody better. So for those who don't maybe understand the importance of Capella, can you give us a sense as a teammate of why it's so imperative that he's a part of this basketball team?
It's funny. I always talk about it. Nobody talks about Clint. Like, Clint is he's the part of our team that nobody talks about, but it's probably the most important part. Everybody, obviously James does so much, Chris does so much, but we honestly got a big 3 because Clint Capella every single night. I mean, way he monsters the boards, the way he catches our lobs. He has great hands. The way he makes plays in the pocket when they double James. Just makes real good decisions. His energy running the floor every night. He just brings another aspect that I don't think any other big in the league actually can do like he does every single night.
On the way out, tougher to defend James in practice or to match up with his attire entering the arena every night?
Definitely harder to guard him in practice.
PJ, appreciate it, man. Thanks, bro.
Hey, I want them shoes now. I'm for real,
Hey,
man.
Zeke, I'm going to keep them shoes for you. Zeke, they're yours.
I'll be there to do
man.
a game. I'm going to ask you for them.
They're going to be in my locker.
I'm going to be my 12-year-old self again. Hey, PJ, can I get them shoes?
Done deal.
All right, PJ, be good, man. That's PJ
Thanks,
Tucker.
bro. Thanks,
And this team has the one thing you gotta be fair with. They're resilient. You say what you want about whether or not you dribble too much, or you like the way everybody's got their own comments, Zeke, about how the Rockets are. They dealt with a lot of injuries. A lot of people say no. They had the whole Melo situation, which it seemed like kind of a train wreck, just didn't work. They've shown a lot of resilience, right? I know James has played great, but you look at it, really everybody's stepped up now for this team.
Well, when you talk about his resilience and perseverance, and you hear P.J. Tucker talk about his hard work and work ethic, a lot of times we sit and we watch and we just marvel at, guys like him, guys like Steph, guys like Durant, but we don't see how much work they put into their craft. And to hear him talk that way about James Harden, because I'm used to seeing him doing this and just having fun out on the floor. But to hear him talk about how he's the first one in, the last one to leave, even on back-to-backs, getting his work in every time, he's setting a good example for that team. And as he said, we had a lot of new guys to come in, and we had to keep encouraging them. Now, if your best player isn't showing up for practice and working and setting that example in terms of a work ethic, those new guys, when you down on the bottom, they're going to have a hard time getting back up. So you have to give Harden a lot of credit for just showing up the way he practices and the way he goes about doing his business.
Hey, you guys know this as stars. I mean, it's funny because I think about the handles, right? There's a lot of work in the gym you don't see, the amount of shots that are put up and all those sorts of things. And I think because of some of the brash nature of James, right? I mean, people kind of think it's all show. You don't just wake up and be able to play like that, clearly. So sometimes we shouldn't, but we need to almost hear it from a teammate, which is why it's a good question. So the people who look at it they think, okay, well, he gets fouls he shouldn't get. Well, that's great, but what about all the other things he did? The shot against Golden State, that didn't happen by accident. You practice those sorts of things for that moment, right?
Well, I look at it like a perfect storm. I mean, he has the natural abilities,
right,
but then to put in the time and the effort and the energy to be the first one in the gym. And we were talking in break. It's practice.
Yep.
It's practice where you gain your teammates' respects. And that's what he's done. I mean, you hear the way PJ talks about him. In practice, having to defend him. In practice, walking in and seeing him get up those shots. I mean, that's commendable, and I think he's definitely put this team on his back because nobody expected.
Seeing him doing it in the summer, he said.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if you can't show loyalty with hard work, you can always show it by putting your team's logo or something like it in your hair. For